Derek Dumas here, and this is part 2 of 6 on basically how to make a detailed exterior. So, where do we leave off? Hopefully you guys made some of the stuff on your own. I believe I said that I was going to do something in one of these and, go ahead practice in this area. If you didn't, not a big deal. So, let's basically jump right into it then. What we have right here, let's go ahead and make this a little bit more detailed. Alright, so that's 0.5 meters. Again, we're going to have to double click on our component right here because now we have two components. I believe we made them one big group. No, we did not. Okay. So click on it once and double click. Now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and we are going to move it. M for move. Oop, Control Z. I'm sorry. We're going to move the component without double clicking it, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to double click. Okay. L for line, and we're going to move this over, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to erase it. L for line, same thing, or actually we could just cut right across here. There. And just do the same. And the reason why we're doing this, delete, delete, delete. Now, however, if you remember about how I talked about faces in my last tutorial, or in one of my tutorials, I talked about how if the face is gray, it's not going to be rendered. So, simple fix, just press Shift, select all the faces that are gray, because when we went ahead and we made that line, it created a box, and this is the interior of that box. Right click, and then what you're going to do is you're going to reverse the faces. And now it looks a little bit whiter because, that's just the way that they did it. I mean, I think there's a way to fix that, to see which way your face is. I would like it if it was blue or something else like that. Blue and red instead of, black and white, basically. Just because it's harder to see, because you got your shading and everything going on. You can always take that off, but, whatever. Alright, so we did that. Now, this goes up 1 meter. So, we're going to go ahead, we're going to double click this, P for push and pull, and we're going up 1 meter. We just have to press 1, then double click, and the more you do this, the more fun it becomes. L for line, same thing. Erase it. Reverse faces, P for push and pull, double click, there we go. And then E for eraser, we're going to go ahead, we're going to erase that, we're going to leave this one right here, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but we can get rid of these. Okay, Control Z, Control Z. B for bucket. We're going to use our little paint dropper, press Alt, and that should get it exactly where we had left it off from. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to erase it. That way we don't have to line up all the textures and everything all over again. It just becomes a pain in the neck. Okay, so now that we got that, same thing with these. And the reason why we left these up at the top is because it's 0.5 meters. So we're going to press F for offset, and we are going to go to 0.5 and press enter. Then L for line, and we're going to connect this and this and this. And the reason why we're doing that is because now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to erase that. And now we can erase the one at the bottom there. Same thing over here. L for line. This needs to come down. And we're going to look up. Over here, same thing. Needs to come down. And E for eraser, get rid of all these. Get rid of this, this, L for line, E for eraser. And now that should be flush with our road. So what we're going to do is we're just going to press P for push and pull, and we're going to come out just a little bit. 0.2 to be exact, and then double click on the top. So it gives it more of a little bit more realistic feel. So that all looks like it's flush. This should be coming out right onto where we have basically our street here. Same thing, zoom underneath, M for move, and we're just going to move that component right over, and with no problems, now we have this. Excellent. And we're going to do the same thing with this, with the street corner, but we're just going to have the outside. So we're going to do the same thing with that, M for move, and we're just going to move this over a little bit so it's a little bit easier to work with. And right here, double click on it, and F for offset. And 0.6, we should do another 0.6 is, yeah, 0.2. What does 0.2 look like when we zoom in? And Control Z, no. So we'll do 0.4. That's a little bit better. And now, just as we did with this, we're going to do the same thing. Just connect that edge, and then this same edge down here. Just the curvature, the outside curvature here. Oop, wrong one. There. So now that those are connected, we're going to press E for erase. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to erase this one. We're going to come around, erase this, come down. We're going to erase this. And same thing, F for offset, double click, double click, double click. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to make that, you know, a nice granite texture later. And how we're going to do that is, it's actually a nifty tool, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the links how to obtain it. And it's by Christina Enroth, L for line. And what she does is she's another hobbyist. I told you in one of my, well, basically it wasn't really a tutorial, it was more of a rant video on how not to give your money to these jokers that are just basically out there to make money with it, doing minimal to no work. Whereas you have, you know, James Arnett, myself, there's a lot of people out there that just want to go ahead and show you how to use these tools and, you know, make your own game or your own program or whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, there's no reason to pay for it. Especially when it comes to programming. I mean, there's more programming tutorials out there than there is on pretty much anything else. So E for eraser, same thing. We're just going to erase these two lines. And remember, if you ever make a mistake, like, you know, you delete something like that, Control Z. Control Z for undo is your friend. And the great thing about the eraser is it only erases basically just the geometry lines here. Okay. Excellent. Now that we have that done, P for push and pull, and we're going to move this up by 0.1. Just enough to give it a little bit of shading, and very minimal is what it is. But when you go in, you start playing it in-game, you're going to notice the level of detail, your LOD. All my tutorials I try to do a high level of detail. They're not made for, you know, tablets or anything like that. Honestly, I think tablet games are the biggest waste of time there possibly is. Just because everybody's making them, and they're stupid. And I have a tablet, and my daughter has basically flooded it with a bunch of crap games that you have to pay $5.99 for here and there and this and that, and it's like, come on, no. Alright, so we got that down. E for eraser, get rid of this, we missed one. All right. And notice how this right here, oh, Control Z. That's on the inside. Let's flip this around, make sure we don't have any more of those hanging around. Not that it'll make a big difference, but the cleanest you have your model, the better that your model's off for doing what you want it to do. Okay. So now that we've done that and we've made that a little bit more detailed, we can go ahead and let's just jump back into this here. Now we're going to use basically textures, the most basic that we possibly can for this, just for right now. L for line, bring this out because we want this to be the same as that. Oh crud, Control Z. Again, remember to double click on your model when it's a component. Okay, that's good, that's good. And we're going to keep that one pretty much the same right there. Alright, so P for push and pull. We're going to put that on the face. Oop. E for eraser. Let's erase this right here. And this, P for push and pull. There we go. That's on the face. That's there. Excellent. E for eraser. And let's just erase these. And why we're going to use the Sketchup is basically because we're not going to end up using the Sketchup ones for what basically we're going to be doing once we import it in Unity. That's when we're going to flip it over and start doing our other texturing inside Unity itself. This is just so that we can go ahead and we can get an idea as to what we're doing here. So, you know what? I do kind of want these garage doors to look the same. So, we don't really need this per se. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight this, and we are going to press Control C, and then Control V. Oh, and you know what? It ain't going to do anything, because we didn't tell it exactly what we wanted. You need to, whenever, you can't just do a faceless face, and expect something to come up when you copy and paste it. So pressing Shift, we're going to go around our corners, and then we're going to hit that. And the reason why is because there's no geometry for it to hold on to. And this is such a pain in the neck. I'm pressing things and trying to talk and think at the same time. There we go. There, Control C, and now Control V. There. Now we have a regular door right over here. And because these are all the same, we're going to delete, delete, delete. Oh, Control Z, Z, Z. We just want to delete just the face. E for eraser, clean this up. And basically what we're doing is we're fabricating the doors now. So now we go back to this door, and we click on it. It's nothing. Highlight it. Make component. Door. And what we're going to do is we're going to press R for rectangle. T for tape. Let's be kind of precise about this. And we'll go from the top here, which is 5.13. The lowest point is 5.29. So 5.25. Enter. We'll do 5.6. And we're going to go over to 1. And then the same thing over here, 1. Well, you know, when we captured this, this actually came out pretty good. So then we're going to make a rectangle, and that's going to be 1.77 by 1.42. So, I guess we'll say that it's the door, or D-O-R. I always have a piece of paper with me, and I write a lot of this stuff down, which I highly suggest you do too, so you don't forget. So we'll round it to 1.75 by 1.4. So type in 1.75, comma, 1.4. Beautiful. T for tape. How far over? 0.42, so we'll just do 0.4. And R for rectangle. And 1.75 by 1.4. And this is all starting to come out quite well now. We're going to copy these, Control C, and then we're going to delete them because we didn't double click on our component, and now we're going to press Control V, and we're going to put them up right here. There we go. That's better. And T for tape, there's still 0.4. So we're going to go along the green axis, 0.4. Go over, and we're going to go to 1.4, enter, 0.4, enter, 1.4, enter, 0.4, enter, and 1.4, and 0.4. Enter. Alright. So now we have where all these meet, basically. And R for rectangle. 1.75, comma, 1.4. Enter. And it did the exact opposite of what I wanted it to do. So we'll just go ahead and we'll delete that right there. And we'll just highlight this piece right here, Control C, Control V, and we'll just basically be putting them where they should go. Control V, intersection, Control V, intersection. And because we have these already lined up, let's bring another line down. And this is approximately 1.75, so this has got to go up approximately 1.75. Enter. Okay. And from here, let's go 1.4. There we go. Same with this, 1.4. Enter. 0.4. Alright, so Control V. We're just going to snap that. Same thing with this. Snap it. If you can't really see the lines after a little while, just try to move the camera. There we go. Control V. Very good. Control V. Very good. And Control V. Excellent. So now that we have this door, and the windows are pretty much the same. I mean, if you really want to get into it, you can do that. P for push and pull. We're going to bring that in by 0.2. And we'll do the same for this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And we'll probably throw a picture in the back or something like that behind this door, which basically shows that it's yeah, like a see-through garage door type deal. But that looks pretty good for the most part for right now. And we'll go ahead, I mean, we can do the same for this as well. So I believe the space between that was 0.58. So 0.58, and then 1.75, 0.58, and 1.75. And basically we'll just use the rectangular tool here, and we'll connect these as is. So now we have these right here, and come down 0.58, enter, 1.75, 0.58, and well, that last one we really don't have to do. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to highlight this section right here. Okay. Control C, Control V, snap that in, Control V, intersection, Control V, but we're going to come up here. There we go. And for these, we could probably do a little bit of an offset, make it a little bit detailed, but we can do that after. Again, I mean, the main thing is that we go ahead and we have this all taken care of. So now that we have that group taken care of, we can click on our group right here. And, oh, okay, we have that moved from there. Right click, explode. So edit, delete guides, clean that up. So we have our door right here. That looks nice. Double click on it, we can get into there. Beautiful. Now let's go ahead and each one of these, if we go ahead, yeah, let's explode this component, and then we'll go ahead and it'll probably be easier to make all these components. Should have thought about that before, but you know, I'm not that smart. So we just got to delete all these right here. Always a way to wing it, man. Actually, don't delete those. Come to think of it, let's set ourselves up first. So P for push and pull. After we double click on this, and we're going to come in 0.1. And then we're going to have an offset of, yeah, let's do 0.05. Alright, so now that we did that, we're going to press L for line, we're going to come down, and we're going to connect that, the very corner, to this corner down here, press escape, and then the same thing from this corner to this corner. Okay, and now that we've done that, we're just going to go around the line, and we need to get, you have to be precise about this, we're going to go around clockwise. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we've done that, we're going to use our follow me tool, which is located right here. Why is the path extruded? What's going on with this? Why? Why? Alright, Control Z. New plan. We're just going to take our follow me tool, and we're going to go on the light side, and we're going to follow it up and around and down and over and connect it. There we go. That looks pretty good. We're going to flip around back. We're going to get rid of that extra geometry. this thing right here. Just delete and E for erase and L for line, and we're going to connect those two, E for erase. There we go. There. Now we have some nice geometry right there, kind of added a little bit of level of detail. I mean, if you wanted to go in a little bit further, you just make your offset a little bit more than what it is. But I mean, this is good for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we are going to right click and we are going to make it, you know what, we don't have to make this a group. So let's just copy it. Control C, Control V. Beautiful. Fits right there. So we're going to delete that first. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to delete all these faces. Same with these down here. And Control V, endpoint, Control V, endpoint. And that last one right there is a little bit off. I don't know why, but we can fix that after. And we're just going to snap these right in there. Beautiful. Huh. Strange. Did it for that one too. Must have messed up on our measurement there. Alright. So now that we got that, we're just basically going to L for line, connect these, E for eraser, same with this, L for line, connect the two corners like a polygon, E for eraser, and last but not least, L for line, connect the top, down, same with this, E for eraser. Beautiful. Okay. So now that we have that, we have our door. We can go ahead and let's take this now, our group here. We're gonna move it, but we're gonna move it from there. M for move, and we're gonna move this group, the door. Right up to the top. Control C, Control V, and now it wants to go to the bottom. Okay. I ain't gonna fight with you. Endpoint. Control V. Endpoint. And Control V. Endpoint. Good. Now we have a pretty detailed building here for the most part, and I mean that's basically as detailed. If we want to add a pipe or anything like that coming along here, we'll do that afterwards with separate models, but the main thing is we got the main geometry of this building down for the most part, and we'll go ahead and we'll start working on the top of the building later. But let's figure out how long we really want this building. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to open up Unity. Let's click on all three of these, right click, explode. We're going to click on this. Alright, so this is no longer a component. Okay, so we made that a group. So we're going to click on this, we're going to explode it. There. Now this is no longer a group. Okay. And it's also no longer a component. So we're going to highlight everything, right click, make component again. Building one, you know what? Gar for garage. There we go. We got our gar right here. And if you click on this, it should be a beer street. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move this back to our street. Connect the two corners together. Okay, you know what? Control Z. We're supposed to move the street back because notice where our point of origin is. It doesn't really matter right now per se, but I don't know. I'm kind of picky when it comes to that. I'm pickle when it comes to that. All right, double click on it. P for push and pull. Let's go for about this right here. That looks good to me. Maybe later on we'll make the doors explode and stuff like that and have a fire truck come out of it. I don't know. Figure something out. Let's see how the level of detail looks right now as is. But since we're not using this anymore, we're going to go ahead and we're going to double click on it, B for bucket, Alt. We're going to take the top, which is our default material right here, and we're just going to press Shift. So anything colored in this texture, which is pretty much everything on the side, is going to be, there we go. And that's how you basically start off really modeling this. And we can always throw a door texture on there later. And again, you know what? Double click on this. Let's delete these for right now. Oop, Control Z. Another thing that you can do is just Shift, hold it, and then do it. Probably should have done that earlier before we made all these doors. But since they're no longer components, if we left these as components and I went back to edit that, everything that I did on this door would have been the same. That would have been the smart thing to do, but you know, we're all about repetition and learning here. Okay. Oop. Don't want that. And delete. So now when we move in, we can still see that we got our door there. Alright. So now that we've added onto this building, and we've kind of reduced it a little bit, let's see exactly what this looks like in SketchUp. Or, I'm sorry, in Unity. So again, File, Save, because we're still working with the same file here. And go ahead, we're going to open up our FBX converter. We're going to go ahead and open up Unity. And I believe it was Teach Free. Yep, there it is. So we went from this right here, and we'll see what the next one is in a second. Looks pretty good actually so far. Press play, see where we're at with this. Okay, so that's what we wanted for garage doors. Maybe 0.3 wasn't enough. Maybe we need to bring down those garage doors a bit, resize them. But again, we can always do that after post-processing. So now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and that's tutorial, so we'll name the next one Tutorial 1. Just so we can see the before and after difference. So pull up your FBX converter. And pull up SketchUp, File, Export 3D Model. What's underneath my documents? Desktop. Was there anything underneath the desktop? This tutorial. Oh, there we go. And we'll call this tutorial. What is this going to pull up? Downloads, documents. You know what? Let's throw it underneath documents. Libraries. Okay, so tutorial underneath documents. Export. tutorial.dae. Something tells me this is not the same. Well, whatever. Embed media, convert. It's converted. Tutorial.fbx. And we're going to throw it underneath the same thing, for my models. Although we're going to rename it to tutorial 2. .fbx, and we're going to bring that in. Okay, and we're basically going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Apply. All right, throw this in. Yeah, there we go. Big difference there. All right, so again, we're going to have to go ahead and we're going to scale it to 0.3 by 0.3 by 0.3 and 0, 0, 0. And these are overlapping each other. So what we can do is we'll go ahead and we'll bring it where the streets are basically touching each other. And this is how we're going to go ahead and we're going to make ultimately make our game level. Alright. Because just by blocks and squares, but within SketchUp, not Unity. Alright. So here's the before. And now notice this little bit more level of detail. It's little things like this that really start to make your game look a little bit better. Alright. Oh yeah, that looks much better. And once we get the textures in there, then you'll really be able to notice. Now, this is the reason why, see, when we look through, we don't see anything. That's what I was talking about with the faces earlier. So if you're missing a face, or it's like there's a wall missing or something like that when you're editing, you probably just have to reverse the faces. So good. That's all set. We'll go ahead, we'll fix the shadows a little bit later. But now that we've got that down, we know that this one's better. So tutorial, the original one, thank you. You've done your thing, but you're gone now. We really don't need you. Goodbye, old friend. Right click, and we're going to delete. Yes, we want to delete the asset. Tutorial 1, right up here. Delete, gone. Now, gar. Remember how we name those things? Right there. And then we have our instances. But gar, because it's its own component, doesn't have to stay there. We can move it wherever we want. So that's why I said, you know, make sure you have components, because once you start making your map, then you can rearrange everything where you want it to be. So for right now, let's finish up on just making an interior for this. So tutorial 2, working good so far. Let's get tutorial 2 out of here. And we're going to go down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to move this. And we're moving this right over to here. And we're jumping inside the building. Now I kind of want a double click on it. I want a wall. Oh, I'm stuck in Unity Head. Now it's going to be kind of tough to really see around here what the heck's going on. So let's change our view. Basically all you do is you just hit your zoom, and notice down here it says 35 degrees. Let's just change it to 100. Now, whoa, yeah, hey, zoomed way out there. But we did that on purpose because that's just what we want to do. F for offset for the top here. Oh, escape. We're going to click that. F for offset. And we're going to go about here. P for push and pull, F for offset again. We're going to do a second one. And then P for push and pull. And we're going to drag this down. Sorry, Control Z, Control Z. What the heck am I thinking, man? Doesn't even have to be that hard. For right now, just so we can see the back, we're going to go ahead. We should have done this before, but yeah. Where are we? L for line. Zoom way up here. Along the green axis. There we go. And we're going to do another one right about, right about here. All along the green axis. There we go. And we're going to go with the second one, because if we do the first one, it's going to be really affecting our first one. So by pressing Control, you're going to add a plus, and that makes it and we're going to want this to go right out of view. Alright, there's one. And then T for tape. Let's get this along the green axis at 0.1. L for line. And we're just going to go to the intersect face. P, Control. We don't even have to, but we will anyways. We'll use Control. And just out of sight, out of mind, because we're not going to be going in the building right now or anything like that. This one doesn't really matter too much. Don't really have to measure it, just as long as it's on edge and we go down the blue axis. P for push and pull. I mean, it's better to use Control, because then you're making it its own singular. And see, we're basically putting up walls in this invisible nothingness that we see here. There we go. And then, you know what, let's move this down just a little bit more. Okay. Actually, move it back just a little bit. Press Control. Control Z. Let's bring this up just a little bit more. There we go. Now we're going to press Control. Okay. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead and we can grab this. And if you want, you can do the floor too, but I really don't see the need. And we're going to bring this to about, not to the edge. Zoom in just enough so, like I said, it's out of sight. Okay. And nothing on the outside should have been affected. So, now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move this back over. M for move. Well, now we know if we want another building to look into, we can go ahead and, yeah. We'll add some car lifts or something in there, maybe a separator between these garages. But let's finish up by, so the next tutorial, what I'll get into is we'll continue working on your model over here. I'll build one here, and then we'll build a park or something like that. Then we'll continue on going on down the city block, and we'll also edit the outside of this building a little bit. because now that we went ahead and we made this right here our building, um, we basically set it in stone that that's what we would be doing. Oh, see, this is what I was talking about, looking for faces. Reverse face. Oh, maybe not. What's going on here? Well, we'll figure that out later. It's not too much of a problem. Okay. So now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead, File, Export, 3D Model, same spot, Documents, and we'll call this Tutorial 2. Same thing, Export. Underneath this, we're going to remove selected, remove all, Documents, Tutorial 2.dae, convert, yes, tutorial2.fbx into Unity. Goodbye, tutorial 2, part 1, tutorial 2, part 2. Here you are. Oh, should look pretty good, actually. So, generate all that for the light maps later. Beautiful. Bring this in. Point 3, tab point 3, tab point 3, and 0, tab 0, tab 0. Let's jump in. Okay. Excellent. Looks good. Oh, I see. It just did an overhang. Not a problem. We'll fix that after. So, basically what we learned here is, when we're going ahead and we're making components, don't get rid of the components until you're done. So, like every door that should be a component that's going to repeat itself and you want it to all be exactly the same, like it's an assembly line, don't explode them until you're done with it. Lesson learned there. We also put in a curbing here. We're going to give that like a rocky rough edge. That's going to be extra geometry. It's going to take up more resources, but again, we're not developing for a tablet here. We're trying to make a good-looking game, not some piece of garbage that's on a tablet. Then we'll go ahead. I'll add something over here. You can go ahead and continue to add what you want. If you have any problems whatsoever, go ahead, shoot me something. My communities again are listed in the first tutorial. So, and then we'll go ahead and part 3, I guess we'll go ahead and we'll work on the terrain for the park and a couple other different things. So, alright, take care. Thank you for watching. And as always, keep building and, keep trying to do it for free. Alright, take care.